This is the first small group discussion with J. Krishnamurti in Bangalore, 1973.
Who starts it? Not I.
Maybe you can start the question, sir.
Yesterday in the talk there was a mention, either you have attention now or you don't have attention at all. It cannot be you have attention now and you don't have it afterwards. I find quite a number of people, you see, who are interested in these things, but that thing, attention, does not click in them. They are very sincere, they want to, but
What's the question, sir?
attention. Yesterday's talk,
Yes.
that man raised the question, I have attention when I listen to you.
And then when I go away, it disappears.
Disappears.
And how am I to have attention in the office, at home,
Yes.
and when, etc.?
You said life cannot be compartmentalized that way. You have it now or you don't have it.
No, I didn't quite say that.
I see.
I said, if I remember rightly, if one is attentive, it may last a certain time. And the rest of the time, or part of the time, one is not attentive. Right? And he said, Case said yesterday, that be attentive to not being attentive.
Right.
That is, when there is no attention, be aware that you are not attentive. But don't pursue attention. I don't know if...
Quite. Would our understanding what prevents this attention help?
No, sir. No. Then you see... Go ahead, sir. You're going to say something.
So, I was going to ask Swami Purnananda, what is the traditional position of sadhana in regard to this?
You see, I wanted to discuss some of those points. I don't know whether...
Because yesterday, for instance, was now usually talk for an hour and a half. I felt that the traditional position seems to be one has to have a long sadhana. Is it possible to have this attention immediately, instantly? So how does this compare with this
First of all,
traditional position?
the traditional position is not as many of us presume it to be. There are so many traditions. I am myself doing a lot of experiments in that. In fact, with me there is a yogi staying. He's a very rare man. He has got many really remarkable things. Everywhere it is this attention. Excuse me for using a little bit of this Indian philosophical terms.
Yes.
We say Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha means awareness. We use the word Prajna, Bodha. It comes to the same as probably what you say as awareness, choiceless awareness or awareness. Please, we think together so you can correct me, if I go wrong in my expression. Now, I have been going around India trying to find out what is this. For the last 30 years I have been doing that. getting involved with quite a number of traditional people, hodgepodge things, mantras, tantras and all that, in which I have no faith. Lately I have come across a person who talks in different terms but who does the same thing. And here it is, you see, this thing, this personality, let us not talk about Atma, soul or anything. This personality is as it is, we have to accept this fact. It is insensitive. And the insensitivity in it is responsible for that awareness not to come into expression properly. So to make it sensitive, there are two methods, if at all you call them methods, can call them methods, given. One, the method of awareness. The other is the method of prana.
What is the first one, sir?
Awareness.
Method of
Awareness. Excuse me for the word method.
No,
Yes. And method of awareness is what we call as pure Vedanta. That is given in the different texts, that is practiced in so many ways by people, but many of them go wrong. But those who are not able, yet who want to take to that, the method of prana. What is this prana? I use the word Purusha. That Purusha is the pure awareness in us. In its expression, it has got a twin movement. One movement as consciousness, the other movement as gati. Gati, in other words, energy in us. The energy has got a particular process, a direction. That is there in our cells, in our atoms, in the body. We call it as the different sides. You see, the Bihiranga Panjaga and Antaranga Panjaga. Bihiranga means the 5 elements. Antaranga means Mana, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara, Prakriti, we call them. Now, these have got certain key centers in this human personality. So by reversing this gati or the process of prana, reversal, there is a process of reversal. Pranayama does that. We can go into it deeply if we want, because I am very serious about it, you see. We do that, we practice this. The reversal is what is called as Kundalini. Kundalini has nothing to do with a cobra. It has got a particular movement in us. When the reversal movement takes place, and then when that prana plus this awareness both can be focused upon different points, they create marvelous changes in the system. For example, eyesight is controlled by the tip of the uvula. These are not given in the text. These are controlled by different brain centers. By a particular type of linking this prana plus awareness upon that point, man's sight sensation is made so perfect that not only these things one can see, he starts seeing many other things. It is made super fine. That's the dirtiness is removed. That becomes unbound. That way the 5 sense organs are purified. Then we take to the purification of the inner side, that is Mana, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara. When this is done, the unfoldment of the infinite or whatever it is called, that becomes very much easy. In this there is no God, no faith, no belief, nothing. A straightforward research. This is what we can talk about it outside. But I don't find this method so much in tradition. But it is there here and there, nooks and corners. The problem that I have been facing when I talk to people is, what you say, quite alright it may be, but we are not able to have that attention. I am not able to. They are very sincere in what they say. You see, it may be alright, but how to? We don't have it. By telling them that either you have it or you don't have it, they are nowhere and we are nowhere. So that is a real problem that I see.
Sir, I wonder what you mean by attention. What do you mean by attention?
Attention is...
And also, sir, I don't know anything about, unfortunately or fortunately, all about the Indian tradition. I don't read books, as you know. So, what do you mean by attention? What is the meaning of that word to you?
Shall I put it as a phenomenon?
No, just, I know nothing. Just tell me simply. What do you mean by attention? You tell me, attention is necessary because in that state of attention, your body, your eyes, your senses become very alert, very sharp, and perception is much greater, and so on, so on, so on. Now, before I enter into that, I ask, what do you mean by that word? I attend in my listening to that military band, right? I attend. That is, I pay attention. I listen. I listen with care. I listen. There is a listening without the listener.
Quite.
That's all. To me, that is attention. To listen without the listener. Because the listener then interprets that sound into the military music, like and dislike and all the rest of it. So is there a possibility of listening without the listener?
There is.
Therefore that state is attention. Right, sir? That's all. Then the question arises, how is one to be free of the listener? Right? Then the people say, you must practice. Listen to it and resist the listener, put away the listener, control the listener, and then that introduces a third entity. Right, sir? The listening, the listener, and the controller who controls the listener. I don't know.
Quite.
So it creates an extraordinary problem. It's really an insoluble problem. Which you turn, then you say the controller is the superior intelligence and all the rest of it. Then you get more and more involved and more lost. So is it possible to listen to that military music without any verbal interpretation, without any judgment, resistance and so on? Is it possible to listen without any distorting factor of thought entering into it?
May I ask two questions on that?
Please.
So don't say you may, this is a discussion.
So, am I to take it that the main exercise of improving attention would be to eliminate the listener?
You're introducing the word improve, eliminate. Then who is the improver?
No, how to achieve this quality of listener less listening. This is what I want.
No.
Which is the really perfect attention as we define now. I mean, this is a very important.
What's that?
Usually we find, it's subject to correction, the question that you put was, how to improve your listening quality. I mean, this is what many people are involved in.
Why do you use the word, if I may ask, improve?
Because it is defective at the moment, as we all find it. In all activity, this thought interferes.
Therefore, the problem is not improvement. But why does the thought interfere?
Because the...
No, wait, go slowly, sir. Not improvement. I listen. One listens to that music. Thought interferes with it.
Yes.
Thought says, that's military music. I'm a pacifist. I hate military music. It is absurd. The beating of the drum drives all the brain cells, dulls it, and it's very good to turn out a soldier who will be automatic, and so on, so on, so on. So thought interferes.
So it's a blur listening.
Blurs.
Yes.
Now, the question is not improvement.
Clarify.
Now, the question is not improvement then.
Clarify. Make it clear.
No. Why does thought interfere? That would begin.
Habit pattern.
No, sir. Why does thought interfere? Well, therefore, we have to ask, what is the function of thought?
Yes.
Right, sir?
That's right.
There is a listening to that music, then thought interferes, if you can use that word, or blurs the act of listening, and thought is doing this constantly. I look at you and I say, he's not nice, or nice, he's this, he's that. Thought is always projecting, interfering, blurring. Right?
Yeah.
Am I taking this is a discussion?
No, the same
Quite
thing.
good. Yes, perfect.
Then one has to ask, what is the function of thought? Right, sir? You tell me, go on. We're all discussing, don't let me do monopoly.
No, actually the better term will be how to make the blur act clear. This was my question. Same, putting it in another way, what I meant by improvement was the quality of that listening is blurred because of thought. How can you make it less blurred? I mean, is it possible? I'm
Yes,
not
sir.
saying making and all that.
What could you say? Sir, thought, we both see thought interferes.
Yes, that is definitely.
That's very clear.
No.
The blurring effect comes into being when thought interferes.
Correct. So far it's clear.
Clear. Now, why does thought interfere? So one has to say, what is the function of thought?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Let's go step by step. What is the function of thought?
And you can't improve the scene
I-
so long
I-
as thought.
that's why I-
you can't improve it. The
So
nature
we have
of
to-
it can't be improved.
No. I mean, improvement is the whole act, I was saying. But anyway, probably improvement is a wrong word.
No,
yeah,
That brings in others.
One mustn't be a slave to
No.
words, nor am I, nor you. We're changing.
Now, probably in one way, thought comes in again because we are slaves of thoughts.
Not who is we, slave to thought.
No, all right. Thought appears because probably in the very evolution we are conditioned by several factors. I mean, actually we'll have to use some of these hackneyed words, otherwise
Yes.
expression becomes
Use-
difficult.
use it.
I'm not binding to the conventional terms. I mean, let's interpret it in the way it is meant, because I think they're all associated with thoughts which have been very badly used in expression in different ways. No, why I said that was, one is because of a habit. Don't you think? When I say habit, suppose we get an impulse, I'll take it as a pure stimulus from outside. If a stimulus impinges on us, quickly because of a habit pattern, we take together a few associational factors and fix it in. Then only we find a meaning. A very restricted meaning, probably a meaning made by us. So this is one of the tendencies which we have acquired, either voluntarily or drilled into us by the teachers, or we are doing the same thing to others. And the whole thing I was saying, habit.
So one of the causes of interference is habit.
Yes.
Right.
This is what I was saying.
Then,
The other, I don't know, the need for self-expression in terms of what you know. I don't know whether I can make it clearer. You know, our inner need to keep on, the desire for self-expression of anything that comes in from
no,
outside.
no. Where is the self-expression when you're listening to that music?
But if that music is a new stimulus, suppose I have never heard this band.
But we are listening to it now.
So it's a new thing that is coming in when we are attending to anything outside. You know, right from a young age. Suppose,
Yes, sir. Which
suppose
means
actually, if something is totally new, I mean, we tend to attend with greater clarity probably, because there is the curiosity behind. If there is only curiosity, the blurring effect will be less.
no, sir. Just a minute, sir. We all say habit.
Yes.
One of the habits of thought is to interfere.
Good.
And the next you say is identification
Good. That is what I was.
with the sound.
Yes. With something which we already know.
No, yeah. That's
Yes.
identifying
Good.
with means that the past, identifying
Yes.
through the present to the music and so on.
Yes.
So you say habit, identification. Identification is the naming,
Yes.
that is military music. I don't like it or I like it. So identification, habit, identification. What else?
Among the known scientifically investigated things, I think these are the only two at the moment. Unless, of course, we feel that we reflect some other energy coming into our system and putting out. Now,
No,
I don't know
sir.
what word to use for that.
Look, sir, habit we're quite
Yes.
we succeed.
Yes.
Identification is fairly clear
Yes.
because we're always identifying with pain or with non-pain. So this process goes on all
Yes.
the time. And what is the function of thought? What is thought? Which is constantly identifying, constantly functioning in habits,
Shall I put one?
which is constantly identifying, constantly habit, constantly naming,
Yes.
constantly asserting right and wrong, should not.
Yes.
Now, having stated that, what is thought?
It is one part of the mental mechanism. Now, I put it in a roundabout way, then we come down to the thing. It is probably one part of the mental mechanism to understand the surrounding, code it as a memory, and then communicate. You know, something like a part of a psychic regulator. One part of it. There are several, if you say in the mental mechanisms, there are several dimensions. Thought process is one, where in the process of evolution of, I mean, the basis of human beings is dynamic adjustment to the surroundings in the most harmonious way. If that is one of the bases of evolution, permitting the organism to become richer and richer. In that process, a mental mechanism has developed.
So, but you're not answering my question. What is thought?
So it is probably a psychic regulator.
Psychic?
Regulator, one regulating mechanism of the mind for collection of data which you don't know, I mean, you know, to probe into your surroundings, recording and communicating, you know, in that process.
Now, you are saying
Receiving, recording and communicating.
recording,
Yeah. Which comes as memory.
memory,
Yes.
and what?
And communicating. In other words, I receive a stimulus. I link it up with my part of the psychic regulator, this recording mechanism, and put out to another person as a thought.
No, sir, you're not answering my question. What is thought?
I first say about the verbalized thought, then probably it is a non-verbalized thought will be separate. I think it's one activity of the mind.
What is that?
That activity.
Sir, let's be simple. If I have no memory, I have no thought.
No. So thought has to be on
Wait.
previous memory.
If I am state of amnesia, I have no thought.
Right.
Or if I identify myself with a particular thought, then also thought doesn't operate. Right?
No.
So thought is the response of memory.
Yes.
That's all. Right?
Yes.
Memory being experience, accumulated knowledge, and that is held in the brain cells, which is memory, contains memory, and according to that memory you respond, which is thought, right?
Yes.
This is the Vedantic position, you see.
Is also.
Same, Vikalpa, we say. Vikalpa, Sankalpa, these two are responsible. We put it in two ways. Vikalpa is memory interfering with perception. And Sankalpa is, I have one, I go on imagining into the future. They make these two
Right.
divisions.
So, coming back to the old point, you attend to a thing and you receive a stimulus. Now, from the reception of the stimulus to what is called thought, it must link up with the memory.
Memory, yes.
Is that
But sir, I mean, aren't we rather being elaborate about this? Very simple. You hit me, the memory remains. The pain,
Yes.
memory,
Yes.
and I associate that memory with you.
Yes.
Memory is there that you have hit.
Yes.
And from that springs thought. A future thought say that he is not a good man.
So the good and bad difference was in the memory before. To come to this
Obviously,
conclusion.
sir, obviously.
So that is why. So the pure, a new experience, if it has to become a thought, has to link up with your previous memory. No?
No, sir.
No, I want to ask that question.
No, but modern psychology won't recognize any thought as altogether original.
No, this is what I'm saying.
There is an incipient memory which might be latent,
Yes.
and there might be other memory which might be projected on, and that will be converted into thought.
Yes.
Thought is the
Now,
transformation
what
of
is a
memory.
thought? That is the definition which we started with. Simple. The most basic definition of thought.
You may not define it. Why should everything be defined?
And how to communicate? What is it? To come down to its elements.
Thought is an activity from the non-physical source. Would that not do?
No, sir. I mean, well,
I didn't understand the context, but just mine is a fragmentary response.
I know. What we started out, sir, is what is attention?
This is how we started.
How we started. A band was playing, military band, and we listened to it. And the act of listening is interfered by thought. Thought being that's a military music, liking the military music or not liking the military music, identifying it with a particular pattern of thinking, and from there we went. Why does thought interfere, we use that word briefly, with the quality of attention? When I am attending, there is no interference.
But there is a tension.
Huh?
But there is a tension.
That's attention.
Attention is only increased tension.
No, sir, just a minute. He's introducing something else. Just what we were talking, I'm repeating what we were talking. In that state of attention, when you are listening, thought interferes. As like and dislike is a military music. So the naming of the music is the function of thought, one of the functions. And thereby it blurs the act of listening. So from there we went on to say what is thinking, what is thought. Right, sir? And we said thought is a response of memory. Memory being knowledge, experience. Previous experience, previous knowledge.
Stored and valued.
Stored,
And
valued, and all the
valued
rest of it follows.
Yes.
It is stored in the brain cells.
We are not so sure.
Wait, leave it, that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant, that's more or less the whole scientists accepted must, anyhow. It's stored there. And when you hear something, thought identifies. And this identification blurs the act of attention. Or the habit interferes and blurs. Right, sir? So thought, which is never free, because the response of memory, thought is never new, because the response of memory. So it's always limiting attention, curtailing of attention, blurring attention, blocking attention, right?
Distorting it.
Distorting it. Put it in 10 different ways. So then the question is, what is the function of thought? If it interferes, blurs, distorts, then what is the use of thought? Right, sir? That's where we were more or less. I've gone a little bit ahead. That's where we were more or less.
Coming back to it, how will you make the blood? How can the blood thing be clearer? I mean, this was the original idea with which I put the question. Means it started with the word, how can you make everybody attend more?
But that depends more fundamentally on the purpose of thought. Why should thought be there at all?
Correct. That is how we came to
We're saying, what is the function
the
of
function of thought. So, has it, one is habit.
Has it?
Habit is not a function. It's
not
a
a
function
function.
of thought.
No, what exactly it is.
But
No,
What is the function of
we-
thought? This is where we were when you came.
mine is an unorthodox way of thinking. I thought the purpose of thought is to disturb human life. Thought is meant to disturb.
But don't you think that's an effect?
No,
It does
sir. No,
disturb.
sir. Thought, no, please, sir. Thought, we just now said, is not free.
It can never be free.
Now, thought is never new.
It's never new. Yes.
So it cannot be a disturbing factor. If it is not new, if it is old, if it is not free, how can it be disturbing?
But it should disturb.
And not should. No, how can it?
I suppose we start with a blank. Life starts with a blank.
Does it?
I suppose so.
No, we see, sir, what we are trying to understand is, what is attention? And why does thought interfere, blur, distort? And we said thought is never free, is never new. Because it functions with habit, with previous experience knowledge, and its source is the past. Past, but I'm using the word quickly. And therefore thought cannot be a disturbing factor, because it functions in habit. It functions in a norm, in a pattern. And yet thought interferes or distorts the act of listening. That's what, more or less, where we were.
So in order to know how to make it not disturb, we'll have to know the function of that was the sequence. The main purpose of the question was how to prevent thought from disturbing perception.
I can't offer a reason for it, and I don't know if there are any supporting texts or anything of the sort. But I suppose life is a sort of a self-destruct mechanism. Self-destroying mechanism. And the thought very much helps it.
But why do you say self-destroying? Why not say self-growing? I want to know why you added that. Negative.
Because when you come out of the womb of the mother, when you are thrown into the world, it's a homeostatic disturbance.
Right. So it's perpetually trying to achieve a harmony.
Perpetually trying to get back.
Achieve a harmony, isn't it?
Perpetually getting back to the state of the womb?
State of the black.
No, but why?
No, sir, please, sir. Just let's go slowly. We said, what is the function of thought? If it is not new, if it functions in habit, if it is never free, which is so, then what is its function?
It's not.
That is the point. Very good. It cannot be disturbing because it is in the process of evolution.
Don't let's use the word evolution, because that brings a new...
Correct.
No, but we all know that thought disturbs.
No, you are using, sir, does thought disturb?
It does disturb.
No, wait, sir, look at it. What is disturbing? Something new.
Something not relevant.
Something relevant, which must be new.
If I'm listening to your talk and somebody else makes a remark that is not in consonance with what we are thinking, that disturbs. It's not relevant.
No, sir, just... we are talking of thought itself, not what somebody else says. The function of thought, is it a factor of disturbance? And we are pointing out, we may change again, we are pointing out thought being never free, always old, cannot be the factor of disturbance. What is disturbance is the non-acceptance of the new by thought. Thought says to me, I'm a Hindu or a Muslim, whatever it is. You come along and say to me, what nonsense that is. My thought, which functions in habit, is disturbed by a new thought, by a new idea. The thought itself isn't disturbed, it's your action. So we come to the point where what is the function of thought in life? If we can understand that, then we may understand the attention in which thought doesn't distort attention. I don't know if I make myself clear, sir.
You have made yourself clear, but I have not been able to make it clear myself.
We're going to work at it.
The proposition is clear now.
Yes,
Of
course, yes.
This is now how can you achieve that? It's a statement of a fact. How can you have the attention where thought doesn't blur?
It's a new thought for me.
But
So therefore it
It's a
disturbs.
new thought for me.
Therefore it disturbs. It proves the
It's correct, it's very right.
so the new thought is a by thought. Is it? Generally.
What, sir?
Then what you said, a by thought, is a new thought.
No, sir, just a minute, sir. No,
No, I want to make it clear.
I'm
not.
no. If one is a nationalist, that is a habit
Yes.
formed, repetition, propaganda, and all the rest
Yes,
of it.
yes.
You come along and say to me, to one who is a nationalist, you say, how silly that is.
Yes.
Because it breeds war and so on and so on. Then there is a state of disturbance.
Yes.
Because thought has been functioning for years in habit of nationalism,
Yes.
and that is questioned
By another thought.
by another thought
Yes.
or by another reality, by a reality.
Now, which brings in whether the original thought was real or unreal.
No, sir. I'm a nationalist, suppose.
Yes.
I have functioned in that groove. You come along, have investigated into the whole process of nationalism, war and so on, and you have discovered a truth which is any division is a factor of war, strife. And you come with that truth and say that to me. You verbalize that truth through thought.
Yes.
But the discovery of that truth is non-verbal.
Yes. Correct. Yes.
So the insight into the truth is non-verbal.
Yes.
So you verbalize it and communicate it to me
Yes.
as thought.
Yes.
That discovery is the disturbing factor, not your communication.
No.
I don't know.
Yes, we understood that. So that is another thought, isn't it?
No.
Then what is that?
No.
Oh, it is the non-verbal component of the communicated thought.
No.
Uh,
You have investigated, found, have an insight into the fact that division breeds conflict.
yes.
You have an insight into it,
Yes.
not a process of ideation,
No. Right.
right?
Yes.
And you have seen the truth of it.
Yes.
The perception of the truth is non-verbal.
Yes.
It's an event.
Huh?
It's an event, it happens.
It happens.
Yes.
It's an event, it happens, you have an insight. Then you translate that insight or that perception,
Yes.
that happening, into words, into thought, and communicate it to me.
Right.
The fact is not your communication of words, but that you have seen something real.
Yes.
An event.
That event, and that is the disturbing factor.
To you.
To me,
Yes.
who is a nationalist.
Yes.
Now, I must go back slowly. So I'm asking, what is the function of thought at all in all life? If it is a mechanical thing, if it is not free, if it is merely a response of a dead past
Yes.
as memory, what is the function of it?
To protect the past.
Huh?
To protect the past.
But it is the past. It can't protect itself. It is the past.
It doesn't want anything new. It is afraid of new.
No, which is what? He has told me something new, verbalized. I'm disturbed.
I'm afraid of losing what I'm having.
Yes, no. What is the function of thought? I don't know if I...
Yes.
Falling to our security.
No. Sir, just a minute, sir. Go into it slowly. What is the function of thought? Is it security? To be secure? And he comes and say, look, you're not secure because the moment you are nationalistic, you have divided, and then there is war, and that very war is going to destroy you, therefore there is no security. I don't know.
Yes.
So may we put the question differently? What is the function of knowledge? Swami Purnananda has put out what the traditional attitude of the Hindu about prana, prakriti and all the rest of it. Is that the function of
Can we
thought?
say it is one of the raw materials for further growth
Growth of what?
of the human...
Is it? You take it, I question it. I say, is thought a factor of growth?
No, can I equate it to something like a building? You make a brick, you put it, and that brick stays for further bricks to be added. Now, thought and knowledge.
No, but what's
are
the
ways.
purpose of that?
Which one? To build a structure.
You use knowledge to acquire more knowledge, but what's the use of that knowledge?
What is the function of
What's
knowledge?
the purpose of acquiring all that knowledge?
It's to create.
What you
create
wait, does thought create?
By its nature it can't, because it's old, because it's
It
mechanical.
It cannot.
Because
That's
it's
my...
No, thought doesn't create. But thought is the residue of creation
No.
on which further creation can rest. Why don't you say that?
No, sir.
No, see, that non-verbal change that has occurred, whether it is disturbance or not disturbance, we won't go into it. There is a non-verbal addition. You won't say thought. Whatever, can I call it X or something?
No,
that
sir,
particular.
please, to be simple.
All right, that moiety, that event that you mentioned just now, of non-nationalistic insight coming into a nationalistic base, right? That event. That's what you described. No, but
Sir.
how can I want to continue that particular...
I'm doing that.
in
We
5
are,
minutes.
we are doing that.
Yes.
We're asking, what is the function of knowledge?
No, for that I want to use that event. Can I keep on saying event? No, for my future talk. I want to use that
No,
event.
sir.
To answer that question.
No, sir, just a minute. Give me less 2 minutes. Let's begin.
No.
Distorting the fact of attention,
Yes.
thought interferes,
Yes.
habit identification.
Yes.
Thought is the response of memory.
Which is past knowledge and all that.
And we said
Past
that,
knowledge,
the
yes.
response of memory.
Right.
Memory is past.
Yes, yes.
There is
Memory
no
is
new
knowledge.
memory.
Right.
And from that we say, what is the function of thought? And we said, thought is knowledge. Then what is the function of knowledge in life? If it is old, if it is not free, if it is mechanical, what is the function of knowledge in life?
Can we make use of an old and worn out simile of we have to cross the river, we have to make use of the boat. This knowledge is the boat. But
so-
we should throw the boat and then walk.
Correct.
This knowledge won't be useful.
But for crossing,
Thought won't-
but for crossing the
for
boat is
crossing
useful.
it will be
This is
useful.
the point. So
I mean, you've said that is for technological purpose, knowledge is necessary.
that is all.
Yes, wait, sir. Keep it. The building the boat, which is the technical process, is necessary. And that building the boat is based on knowledge. previous boats and so on, so on, so on. And therefore, knowledge is essential in function.
In function.
That's all. And it has no other function
It
in
can't
any
be.
other direction.
No,
No,
can't.
no, not it can't.
No, because by its nature.
Sir, see the truth of it, sir. Not having, let it be an event, a happening, and then you will see what takes place.
So it has got a junctional value.
Huh?
A value.
A
Why?
function. Knowledge has a
At the time when
function.
you are getting a new event,
Huh?
it has got a value. I tell you why. That knowledge is useful. No, I take the same nationalistic example. Now, I got a non-nationalist insight, which I verbalized and communicated to you. For me to verbalize, knowledge is required.
Of course.
That is the whole function of thought and knowledge. Now, suppose I put it that way.
It's same thing, sir, function. When we use the word function, it implies all that.
Yes.
Technological, memory, and so on. So, sorry, sir, you wanted to say?
No, no, please, I am.
So that is the function of knowledge. We have come down to that.
In other words, communication.
Communication,
That's right. Verbal.
function, verbal, non-verbal, verbal, technical. I learn how to drive a motor.
That's right.
Finished.
Yes.
Run a car,
Yes.
run a language, and so on, so on. That's all purely function.
Right. That is only.
Wait, we'll get it more difficult. And from that, we produce psychological ideas. Right, sir?
Is that right? No.
From function, we introduce status. Status is an abstraction of function. So, status becomes a psychological factor derived from function. Status then becomes more important than function.
Yes.
The politicians, the whole group of them, the peculiar breed, they are not interested in function, they are interested in status, which is derived from function. So it's a psychological factor which has become more important than function. So it is an idea abstracted from function.
Yes.
Right, sir?
Like, to use my own, the boat becoming more important than crossing the river.
Yes, put it in. And the prestige you derive from driving the boat.
That's right.
Yes.
You're right.
That is more.
Yeah. So, look what our mind has done. Moment I seek, the mind seeks prestige, function becomes inefficient.
Mm.
And status with guns, with flags, with salutes, with please after you, you have the first entrance, all the rest of it takes place, which is the psychical desire for power, for pleasure. And frustration, all the rest of it from that. So what is the function of knowledge except to ride a bicycle, to run a motor car, technology and so on? Function, it is purely functional.
And your disturbing factor comes through the ideation of status. Not, it's the thought that is not disturbing. But the correlative thought, or what has come out of thought, Isn't that so?
Yes, sir. So,
or the sticking to the thought, not the thought as such, but the clinging to the
What
thought.
results from the thought?
The sticking to the
The
thought.
psychological result of the thought is the one that is
No,
disturbing.
even apart from the rank and the status,
Yes.
even in my own life, to plan my next action, I need knowledge. I need thought. To go out of this room, I need
shall I
thought.
put it this
of
way?
course, I have to go out over
The
here.
dependence on thought is the disturbing factor. Am I right?
Yes, right.
Is that
Right,
right?
right. That-
Simple.
So,
Now coming back.
so what? If thoughts only function, only job is functional, then why does it become ideational?
So that the function is done more efficiently.
Yeah, on the contrary, when it becomes ideational, it's non-functional.
No, it will give stereotypes, it will give standards, it will give a
No.
model of behavior.
Division of labor.
Which is that?
Division of labor, like tradition,
Yes.
like state.
All that comes after that.
No, sir.
The moment function becomes status, you see, life is undone.
Okay.
Because the status becomes more important than function, and function is interfered with. It is
But
spoiled.
suppose status gets subsidiary to function.
No, sir.
It
Look,
becomes impossible.
keep it very simple. Keep it, let's keep
Practically no status. Status is ideational. It is function that is more important. You give it a name and you build a power structure around it.
Sir, keep it very simple. Function, right? The cook is as important in function as the minister. Right?
Of course, there might be.
I mean, function we are talking. Function of a cook and the function of a minister are exactly the same. Function. Both demand efficiency. But psychologically, status has interfered and says the minister is more important than the cook. The rich man is more important than the poor man. The Republican is more important than the Democrat.
Are we not introducing another dimension?
It's all based on the same, which is
How would it be if we took examples like my writing, my reading, my easing myself, my taking rest, my exercise? These are all functions.
this is all.
These are all functions.
Oh, absolutely.
And behind them thoughts are there.
Which is functional. We said functional.
Functional. And in these things, can I introduce a relative importance of the hierarchy, that one is more important than the other?
So when we are functioning, there is no more or less.
But when we are thinking of a cook and a prime minister, it's a new dimension altogether.
No. If we treat them as functionaries, there is not a new dimension.
But they are not treated the same
Because status. And when you establish status, then the complications begins. Then I respect the Prime Minister and treat the cook as dirt. Then I invent that all life is one. Look at the tricks we play to justify this inequality of status, and I go on playing with that game forever and ever and ever. Now, to have an insight into that, so that never status
Knowledge comes in the way.
no.
To have an insight.
No, sir. No. You had an insight when you said division is destructive.
Yes.
Because you looked at it, you gave attention to whole problem of nationalism. Because you gave attention, there was an insight.
Which cut through the previous knowledge.
So the insight then communicate verbally and so on. In the same way now, there is only function and not status.
Yes.
See the truth of it, the insight of it. Then you're free of status. Then function only matters. Then what happens, if you want to proceed further, what happens to a mind that's only functional, which is materialistic, if you can use that word, which is mechanical? And so mind says that's not enough. There must be God, right? Because this is very narrow, limited, petty. So it introduces a factor of God, super agency, super consciousness, super soul. Right, sir? So when the mind refuses to introduce these things, then what happens? You are merely a machine.
A very wise machine.
And that's why stupid, that's irrelevant. You're merely a machine.
I suppose it goes on.
And no, that's mechanical. Let's find out if there is a quality which is non-mechanical, right, sir?
Yes. The mechanical is controlled by the thought process.
That's
As a
functional. We
Yes.
put all that in one basket. Extend the basket, narrow down the basket, astronomy, science, the whole thing is that. Then we ask, is that all life is? Just mechanical? Functional? Then what is life? Life is relationship. Right, sir? Then does the mechanical interfere with relationship? Right? And it does. Therefore, relationship becomes functional. My wife, I sleep with her to produce a baby, or my wife who cooks, functional. Is that relationship? And so on, I'm going to.
So therefore, how do you apply it to?
So we come to the point, can thought be absent? Can thought as the listener be absent when I'm listening, when there is the act of listening?
This is where we were originally there. Can you listen without the listener coming in?
Which is thought.
Which is thought.
The act of listening, it should be possible because...
No, not possible. Moment say it's possible,
You're introducing a frame.
you're blocking.
No, I can speak only to that it would be possible to watch a thing without involving your ego or whatever.
And your entire genetic and extragenetic
entire
heritage.
genetic and extragenetic heritage.
Can
You are
you-
just watching, you are just
Sir,
attending.
we are talking on the functional materialistic level.
That is,
function.
so you can spend hours discussing function.
I know.
That's what all the
That-
economists, all the businessmen, all the politicians, all the crooks are doing this in different
Or
ways.
even the seminars, academic seminars.
It's all the same. And I say that's all
Yes.
too immature. Sorry.
But to proceed further, can we get an insight into that listening without the listener? This is what I want. How do you
Listening without the listener, attending without the attender, is
It could be listening or seeing, but we took an example.
any experience without actively involving yourself in it is a part of a meditational exercise, which I was practicing for quite some time, and they called it the bare attention, shushka vipashyana, bare attention, without the details, without the framework, without the pull or the push, the thought being exercised just to the event, and the thought is got back. I don't know how to relate that to the problem.
Two
at hand.
answers I want. One is the insight into this event, and secondly, how to communicate that at that level.
I don't understand.
You have, you're not thinking of the function now. Function is a self-contained.
And then don't even
mechanism.
discuss it. All the seminars do that. Then
At
let's
the same
forget all
time, a functional correlate is required for communication. We agreed on that.
Oh, finished all that, sir.
But how will we communicate this attention? This is what I want. Without using the function.
I don't understand. I don't quite understand what you're saying, sir.
We are actually saying that attention is listening without the listener. And the listener's functional fabric is required to communicate.
No, may I break up your proposition into
Yes.
2 or 3 things? One, the function.
Yes.
Number 2, an insight into that function.
Right. Third, second.
Number 3, the need to communicate.
Right. Now
And
how will
then
you correlate?
the way
this?
of communicating.
That's right. This is what I want.
So that's all mechanical.
No, that is true. But insight is not mechanical.
Obviously.
Now, but for me to introduce that insight to you about the
You
nationalist,
verbalize.
I had to use the communication.
Of course. Of course.
Now, so that we will have to use.
Obviously, sir, I know Italian a little bit, and I come and tell you in Italian, so it's, that's
But you feel that shouldn't interfere with the basic perception. This is what it is.
No, I wouldn't.
But 100% shouldn't.
No, sir, look, sir. Knowledge is functional.
Yes.
Extend it, narrow it, put it in a seminar
Yes.
or a university,
Yes.
all that is functional.
Yes.
And because it is functional, mind says that isn't good enough.
Yes.
Then it proceeds to become neurotic.
Yes.
It says belief, status,
Yes.
God,
Grasp all
Savior,
ideas. Yes.
Father. You follow? It becomes all those are factors of neuroticism.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. That's clear.
Going to the temple, the guru, all that is factors of neuroticism.
All because mind says function is not enough.
That's it.
Right.
Right? And then what?
So
Wait, stop a minute, sir.
Sorry.
Huh?
Sir, but we are assuming that the mind has seen
And of
that
course,
the status is,
and
that it has
I-
left status.
I said that.
You
Unless
you said it, but the difficulty arises only here. You have said it. One has listened to it. Is it an insight? So this is
Otherwise you can't proceed further.
This is where the block is. Really, this is where the block is.
Yes. He's saying, do you see?
Because we will again come back to it.
Have an
This is an
insight.
insight.
Have an insight to the fact of function.
Yes.
That
Yes.
And no status, no neuroticism, no, only function. You don't.
not say a function is mechanical and therefore something.
Yeah.
Is there?
It
Is
purely
this an
means,
insight?
of course, quite right. If you haven't got the insight, then you will do the neurotic activities. Obvious.
The insight means the cook and the minister are the same to me.
Absolutely.
That's the insight.
But how does one arrive at that insight?
How
Does it just happen?
I'll show it in a minute. I'll show it in a minute.
Because we have...
Yes, sir. Just a minute. How does one have insight? By reason,
To an extent.
to a limited extent.
To a limited extent. Going to a guru.
We have reason now.
Why not? Why not?
No,
Guru is
no.
too complicated.
Why
No,
not?
no.
I'll get an insight by him. by
No,
scriptures,
no, you
by-
can't get an insight through another.
Why do you say Guru, sir?
Why do you introduce
Because
everything?
I have developed an insight through a guru.
If you are talking about tradition, the tradition negates Guru. Guru can do nothing.
So what, if I may
I can't
ask,
read about tradition.
what does that word guru mean?
Guru means grand,
Too
great.
complicated the concept.
Guru means grand, great.
Yes,
And
Yes, grand, great.
the Sanskrit.
Yes, it
And
is.
also,
actually-
and also it means one who points.
No.
And also it means, I've been told, I'm just repeating, it means one who lifts your burden. On the contrary, he puts a burden onto you, but that doesn't matter. That's the
As a matter
idea.
of fact, guru means a burden. Guru means heaviness.
Heaviness.
Heavy.
That's
Guru
what
is
I have been told.
Guru is a
Now,
burden.
listen.
Gauravatvat. Guru Bharani.
Guru is
Guru means a
opposite
weight.
Guru.
Guru means a weight.
Leave that, sir.
No, leave that apart.
1 second, we talk.
How do we develop an insight?
Not developed, sir. No, you're, that,
I'll withdraw. How does one happen to have an insight?
now I'm going to show you in a minute. One must be free of the idea of evolution, growth. One must be free of time. Time is thought.
Yes. Time is one dimension of thought.
Wait. You want to
Coordinate.
It is a coordinate of thought.
time is thought. You can extend it minus plus, but thought is time. And you are still thinking in terms of time when you say growth of insight. To grow, to have an insight. That is the future. So you don't have it now.
It's not actual.
Actual. So don't imagine insight as a growth. So you won't go to a guru.
Not as a possible occurrence,
No,
but
please.
as an ease.
Therefore there no guru, no practice.
No reason.
You see, these are all verbal statements to you. But when you cut it, when you say, I see the futility of going to a guru, finished. But you don't. You still think guru can give you insight. Which means you're still thinking in terms of time. Which means you are still functioning mechanically and therefore thought. Therefore you're blocking insight.
Even the very thought that Guru will give you is blocking up.
Guru or books or
I mean,
The whole lot.
You see, incidentally, I want to make a remark. In Yoga Vasishtha, there is a statement, Upadesha kramo rama vyavastha matra palanam yaptestu varanam shuddha shishya pratyanga kevala. Vasishtha to Sri Ram, Guru and such other things are nothing but an empty convention for the awakening, enlightenment of the so-called disciple. The primary factor is clear understanding. Shuddha shishya prajna eva kevala.
This is where
Yoga Vasishtha.
So, sir, wait a minute. Right, sir? Can I proceed?
Yes, because I see these things can't help the happening of the inside. I don't say growth of the inside or the development of the inside. But my thought is so involved in me, I can't cut it asunder. I can't just throw it away.
Not you throw it away.
Even there, I introduce the ego.
it does get thrown, you mean.
But does that have...
Sir, just a minute, sir. Look.
I understand. I fully am convinced. But how can I...
Not convinced.
Get out of it?
No.
Get out of it?
No, it's not a question of being convinced about anything.
No, I see that it is not a growth. That insight is not a growth.
Right. So up
There should not be a time coordinate. And it should not be an event in the future, but it must be in the present, now, an actuality. But how can I get rid of the thought?
No, that's wrong. You're putting a wrong question. If I may be rough, sorry.
No, that far I'm clear.
Right. What gives insight? Look, sir.
Well, don't ask me.
I should you just.
I'm sure to give you wrong answers.
No, I'll show
you.
I'm going to show you.
Yes.
We said attention is blurred or distorted when thought. Thought is time. Thought is memory. Thought is not free. Thought is never new because it's functioning in terms of memory and so on. That is clear perception, isn't it? There is no argument. We have reasoned, and you come to a point when reason can't go any further. You say, yes, that is so. Right? So the mind cannot go any further. Mind in the sense, the intellect, which is its function to rationalize, look and so on, can't further. So what happens? Actually, not theoretically, then what happens? May I proceed a little bit, sir? The activity of reasoning, the activity of listening, arguing, opinion, judgment, all that has stopped, hasn't it? Has it stopped?
It does stop.
For him, it hasn't.
It hasn't.
Now, if it has, what is the quality of mind that is no longer moving, turning?
Active nevertheless.
Huh?
Active nevertheless, but not moving.
No, active, that's good. Active, which means what? Not directional. Right? Therefore, an action which is out of time, out of time in now. In that state, there is insight. You will not have insight if that doesn't exist.
If a direction comes, insight will happen.
Obviously. Emotive, a direction. Direction means emotive.
With time.
Yes, therefore the others is not. So insight can only take place when the mind is observant, attentive, without a direction, without a motive, which is the answer to listen to that band without the interference of thought. This is real meditation. In this there is no operation of will. Will is time, will is thought, and so on and so on. All right, Swamiji?
Yes. Yesterday you referred to internal combustion engine.
What?
Yesterday you referred to internal combustion engine.
Yes, sir, yes.
I could just correlate to
Oh.
attention.
What was it about?
That was regarding the knowledge as function. And
I-
knowledge about
I-
internal combustion.
I think, sir. Look, the man who discovered jet, you know what I'm, jet engine, jet propulsion, jet movement, he was completely familiar with internal combustion machine. That was his knowledge. If he carried on with that knowledge, he wouldn't have found the other. Right? I don't know if you're following. So there must be an interval between the function and the new discovery. If he goes on with the knowledge of he can never find the new. Therefore, the unknown is the freedom from the known. I don't
State of interval was able.
And today you try to capture the unknown with the known, which is a horrible situation. That's what I'm saying. Today we are really opposite, which prevents you from going further.
Sir, that's why, sir, relationship is so tremendously important. Because life is relationship.
Yes.
And we base relationship on the known.
Right.
And therefore relationship is rotten.
Right. Completely. In other words, for any discovery, there must be a break.
Death is that.
The intro. Your sleep is dead.
No.
What?
Death is dead.
Huh?
Not sleep.
Death.
I know,
Somebody
sleep
says
is the
No, sleep is dead. Not sleep.
Oh, can't go into sleep now. That's an immense problem.
It's problem with
Why should one dream at all? That's the real problem, not what dreams are. Yes. We've talked for enough, haven't we, sir? No.
Very fine discussion.